All right, Ryan with Crutchfield Automotive. We're going to be doing a series on this Subaru Outback. So if you found yourself in here and this is helpful to you, give us a like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It would be helpful for us, and follow along. So first thing first on this Subaru, if we're going to do front and rear brakes, we'll break this up into two videos. So let's look at the front brakes first. First, we're going to use a lift, but you can use a jack and jack stands if that's what you've got available. Just make sure that it is safely off the ground to where you can remove the wheel. So you will need a 19 millimeter, whether you're using a lug wrench or an air impact, either one. Either one will get you done. So from here you can inspect your brakes, see if there's anything else that's going on suspension wise or anything else that needs attention, but looking to see what kind of pad life you've got left, which not much left on these. On the front, we do have enough that we're not going to replace these rotors. We are going to turn them on a brake lathe. So on the front, I'm going to start with removing the this caliper and the pads so that we can get the rotor off. Go ahead and turn it. If you're having yours turned or replacing them, then obviously you won't need to be able to run a brake lathe. But let's get this. First thing that you'll want to do is this caliper bolt and this caliper bolt. They will both be 14 millimeter. Get them loose, and you can hang this. Make sure you've got something sufficient to hang this part of your caliper with, and that way you don't drop it, putting extra tension on the brake line. All right, once that's hung up and out of the way, now we can start to worry about the caliper bracket. It's going to have two more bolts, one here and one down there, right there. And we're going to get both of those off after we remove our pads. Should be able to just remove them, pop them right on out. One-handed is a little tough, but you better remove those, and then we're going to remove those bolts. At that point, you're going to inspect your caliper bracket, make sure there's no breaks. You'll be replacing all of this little bit of hardware in just a minute. First, we're going to remove this rotor. They always say we should come right off. But if it's not coming off, which this one seems like it wants to hang up, you can take a hammer and strike the inside. You can use a rubber mallet on this part. I don't like that. Usually we strike around the studs, and that's going to loosen it up and allow us to remove this rotor to replace. If you're replacing, again, for us, we're just going to turn it over into brake. You may find it easier, instead of trying to hit this with a hammer, if you do have an M8 by 125 bolt, you've got two bolt holes, we'll run in and press that to where, press against that hub, and it'll let you pull that brake rotor off a little bit easier. So if you don't have a hammer and you just got a bolt, this one took a 13 millimeter, run it in, pop it off. So inspect your hub while you're here, make sure you don't have any play, any excessive slack, anything in here that looks broken. The next step, if you're just replacing your rotor, put the new rotor on. I'm going to go turn mine, and then we can start putting our caliper bracket and all the necessary hardware back on at that point. All right, so while those are turning, that's the difference in an old used pad and a nice fresh new pad. The hardware, it's going to come with new hardware if you buy the premium kit. Just pull these off, and you're going to replace them just like they came off with the new hardware. Squealers, which is what I call these little guys, these little tabs. Do those. They're going to go towards the rear on both. So you'll notice that on these two new ones, here's a squealer, here's a squealer. So it's going to install this way, so towards the rear of the vehicle. This one will install this way, also towards the rear of the vehicle, because you're looking at a passenger side caliper bracket. So we're going to clean up with a wire wheel, clean the surface well, install the rotor back on. If you're doing new ones, put them on. And then we're going to take that 17 millimeter and our caliper brackets and reinstall them. So let's see what that looks like. Once this is reinstalled and the 17s are back in, holding the caliper, this is when I like to lubricate my slide pins. Make sure that they are lubricated. If they're dry, they are very likely to stick and cause you issues. So make sure that they both slide freely and that they're well lubricated. I always just get my local supplies. AutoZone's one of our closer suppliers, honestly. So get you some brake and caliper grease, lube them up. That way they'll slide freely. Once that's there, I'm going to put the my hardware for the new caliper or the new rotor. I'll say it right in a minute. On the new brake pads, the new hardware to hold them in, and then the new brake pads, and show you what that looks like. Hopefully the audio is working here. I've got this. It's a snap-on tool. You can get these, I believe, at Harbor Freight too, but it's just ratcheting. As it ratchets, it's going to press in on these two pistons and compress them so that this will fit over the new pads. Some people will take channel locks and they'll squeeze on these. I don't like that as much. You can do that, but you can just squeeze with a big pair of channel locks. You can take a C-clamp and an old brake pad and clamp it around here with the old brake pad and run that new old brake pad in using a C-clamp. However you get them in, this is just my preferred method. Once your brakes are to this point, good coat of brake clean to kill any kind of leftover, brake dust or grime. Just make sure it's a good clean surface contact. Put your wheel back on, torque it to spec. You're finished on this side. Continue to do the same on the other side. And you've finished up your front brakes on your Subaru Outback. Got some good stopping power in the front. If you found that helpful, as always, like, subscribe, share, comment, all the fun things to help our channel grow. We appreciate it, and we'll catch you on the next one.